Good evening, friends. Thank you all so much for gathering. This just feels like a moment for us to be together. On behalf of all of us, Cantor Kipnis and Rabbi Reines and Jenna Mark and Liz Sherman, our president, and Amy Schwach and our whole team, we just felt the need to be together, and we figured that you might feel that need as well. So here we are. Our hearts and prayers are with the people of Colleyville, Texas, and Congregation Beth Israel, whose rabbi's words we will hear. He wrote some beautiful words, and I believe we're going to hear those words a little bit later. We feel grateful that all of the members there are safe physically. We are praying for their spiritual well-being as well. We're grateful to all the first responders who helped the situation yesterday end with the hostages all safely freed. I'm grateful as well, and I hope you are as well, for the myriad of religious leaders across the country and political leaders across the country and across the political divides who have reached out, some of them personally to me, many of them to the leaders of our reform movement, to extend their concern, to extend their denunciation of these heinous acts. Jews, Christians, Muslims, Baha'i, Buddhists, communities of every faith and no faith at all have reached out to express their concern. And it's part of what helps me know that we are not alone. But seeing all of you really is what helps me know that we are not alone. We're here together as a community. We also know and have been checking in and confirming with our own security team and with the security systems within our city that we're doing everything that we need to do to keep our synagogue safe. And I'm confident that we are taking all of those steps. Gratitude to all those who engage in that important work and who help keep us safe. Many of you have recited words, dozens, hundreds, thousands of times. The words are Matir Asurim. Matir Asurim praises God for redeeming captives. And for me, although I've said those words thousands of times in my life as a Jew, not only as a rabbi, in our Givurot prayer that we say whenever we pray, Matir Asurim, praising God for redeeming the captive, those words are words that I never thought I would experience as anything other than metaphorical. But after the events of the last 24 hours and more, I'm grateful for this miracle and pray that we together build communities of commitment to one another, of love and solidarity for all human beings, for Jews and all human beings. May we find strength and comfort in this latest trauma. And may this moment bring us ever closer to one another as a community and also as a community of the human race. And so we say this blessing, and I invite you to say the blessing with me wherever you are. It starts like every other blessing, Baruch Atah Adonai, and it ends with Matir Asurim. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Matir Asurim. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, master of time and space, who frees the captive. This evening, briefly, we will share reflections and some melodies, and invite you to share a reflection or two. And then there will be other times for us to be together, God willing, soon face to face. So I want to thank all of you for being here as I turn it over to Cantor Kipnis as we continue with song.
Nachamu, Ami Yomar Elohechem, Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Yomar Elohechem, Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Omar Elohechem, Nachamu, Nachamu. Ami Omar Elohechem, comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle to take care of one another. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle with this world. Nachamu, Nachamu. Ami Omar Elohechem, Nachamu, Nachamu. Ami Omar Elohechem, comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle to take care of one another. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle with this world. Nachamu, Nachamu. Ami Omar Elohechem, Nachamu, Nachamu. Ami Omar Elohechem.
There is almost a terrible irony that this hateful and violent act happened on the weekend when we celebrate the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It feels like it's the complete antithesis to everything that he stood for. But maybe in some ways, that's something we can take away from this, because he didn't have control over other people's hateful actions. But what he taught us was that when those moments happen, to not let ourselves be pulled toward hatred, but instead to lean into love, as challenging as that might be. Here's a passage that he wrote illustrating this powerful teaching. So Dr. King wrote, "My brother and I were driving one evening, and for some reason the drivers were very discourteous that night. Hardly any drivers that passed by dimmed their lights. My brother looked over and in a tone of anger said, 'I know what I'm going to do. The next car that comes along here and refuses to dim the lights, I'm going to refuse to dim mine and pour them on in all their power.' And I looked at him right quick and said, 'Oh no, don't do that. There'd be too much light on this highway, and it will end up in mutual destruction for all. Somebody got to have sense on this highway. If somebody doesn't have sense enough to turn on the dim and beautiful and powerful lights of love in the world, the whole of our civilization will be plunged into the abyss of destruction. And we will all end up destroyed because nobody had any sense on the highway of history. Men must see that force begets force, hate begets hate, toughness begets toughness. Somebody must have sense enough and morality enough to cut off the chain of hate and the chain of evil in the universe. And you do that by love.' And so we move musically into that teaching using words from our tradition and words that were inspired by Dr. King.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Night cannot drive out the night. Only light, only light. Night cannot drive out the night. Only light, only light. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hate cannot drive out the hate. Only love, only love. Hate cannot drive out the hate. Only love, only love. Whoa, 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 whoa. War cannot end all the war. Only peace, only peace. War cannot end all the war. Only peace, only peace. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, say shalom bimromav, huyaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Vimru, 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 amen, amen. Vimru, 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 amen, amen.
Rabbi Charlie Citron Walker lived through a nightmare. And coming out of it, he was experiencing gratitude. And these are his words. I am thankful and filled with appreciation for all of the vigils and prayers and love and support, all of the law enforcement and first responders who cared for us, all of the security training that helped save us. I am grateful for my family. I am grateful for the CBI community, the Jewish community, the human community. I am grateful that we made it out. I am grateful to be alive. We thought that this might be an opportunity in hearing this really resilient and beautiful rabbi's words to offer our own expressions of gratitude now. And thank God that we are able to ask for gratitudes now. So if you would like to put in the chat box anything you're feeling grateful for at this moment, to follow the lead of Rabbi Citron Walker's spirit of gratitude, we would invite you to do that.
Rafa'enu הושיענו ונבשע אל קרוב לכל קרוב, אך קרוב לרעב ישוב. We pray for healing of the body. We pray for healing of the soul, for strength of flesh and mind and spirit. We pray to once again be whole and glorify. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh ורפואת הגוף, רפואה של האימא. Heal us now, heal us now. הושיע את עמך וברך את נחלתך, ורעים ונשאים עד העולם. מי שברך אבותינו, מי שברך אמותינו, אנא אדוני הושיענה. We pray for healing of our people. We pray for healing of the land and peace for every race and nation, every child, every person, every friend. And Narafana, oh please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh ורפואת הגוף, רפואה של האימא. אל נרפאנה. Oh, please heal us now. רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף, רפואה של האימא. Heal us now. Heal us now. Heal us now.
Thank you for sharing your words of gratitude in the chat. It is so strengthening to see all those words, and I hope you're finding strength in being a part of this community as well. Just before we began this evening, Liz reminded me that we began 5782 Rosh Hashanah with me speaking about anti-Semitism and its scourge in America and the challenges that we have faced anew in a way in which, for some of us, we grew up learning about anti-Semitism as a historical reality, but not something that was a part of our lived experience. And unfortunately, we've been reminded in the last 24 hours that it's not in the past. And so, along with, of course, all other Jewish leaders, but not only Jewish leaders, leaders of from every sector of American life and public life, we denounce, of course, this terrible anti-Semitism, and we need to call it what it is. This man did not incidentally happen to choose fall upon a synagogue. He chose to be in a synagogue, whatever his other motivations were. And so we denounce this act, and also we can feel such anger in this moment. And the question is, how do we respond to that anger? Whatever you're feeling, those feelings are real. The question, as always, is what do we do when we feel the anger that we feel? And there will be some, in some circles, who will turn their anger into hate, hatred of entire groups of people, And that is not what we will do. That doesn't serve. It's not reasonable or fair. And of course, there's nothing reasonable about this moment, but it doesn't further our desire to be safe, our need to be safe, to lump whole groups of people in with the actions of one. And as I was trying to figure out how to encapsulate that sense for this evening, I came across a reflection that our colleague, Rabbi Mark Katz, wrote specifically about the threat of anti-Semitism. And I'd like to share that reflection with you now. He writes, "As in so many times throughout history, our Jewish community is surrounded by uncertainty, unsure of what danger, what vitriol, what violence might await us in this era of rising anti-Semitism. We call upon you, God, to be our partner. When we face enmity, fill our hearts and those of our detractors with love. When we meet bigotry, puncture the ignorance surrounding us with truth. When we see only short-sightedness, open the eyes of the blind. When fear overcomes us, show us the light of courage. When we feel alone, find us hands to soothe us. When we seek to turn inward, find us partners with whom to stand in solidarity. We stand in the footsteps of our ancestor Bruria, praying not that the wicked will disappear, but rather that their wickedness will. Let those inclined to hate question their intolerance, break their fanaticism, and burst open their narrow-mindedness. Guide our leaders to speak out, our law enforcement to stand firm, our judges to rule justly. Let all those who profess faith walk with us along this unsteady and rocky path, and let us in turn walk with them along theirs. We are a people blessed with perseverance, boldness, and fortitude. Help us to tap into these virtues now. All darkness will disappear when we join our light with the light of others. May this happen speedily in our day, so that we, along with all humanity, find our place, each under our vine and fig tree. And as the prophet Micah says, none shall make us afraid." We'll close this evening with words from Psalm 118. Ozi v'zimrat Yah, my strength, balanced with the song of God, will be my salvation. My friends, as we close tonight, I am mindful that we gather on Tu B'Shvat, our tree planting holiday. It's flurrying here in Manhattan, and so it doesn't much feel like a time for planting trees. But I am holding in my heart a teaching that comes from the Talmud that says, if you are in the middle of planting a tree and the Messiah shows up, you're supposed to finish planting the tree and then and only then greet the Messiah. This is hardly a time that feels like the Messiah is in front of us, but my friends, we will plant trees. We will plant seeds. We will look to the future together. We will tend those trees and we will grow fruit. And we are not alone in this moment as we're planting, as we look to the future and we hold our broken hearts. We know that we're not alone. You are not alone, and we as a community are not alone. So we're grateful that you took the time to be with us this evening. And we will look forward to seeing you again very, very soon, in person, online, however we can connect with you. Thank you for being a part of this sacred community. Now, more than ever, we're grateful to be in this work, in this Jewish life together with you. I want to thank my colleagues and the lay leadership of our congregation for supporting this work always, and for being with us this evening. Thanks to all of you. And we want to wish you a Tu B'Shvat Sameach, even in the midst of the challenges in which we face. Let's go out and plant some trees, trees of hope and optimism, of connection with others, and a future that's brighter than this one. Laila Tov, and we'll see you again soon.